Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott Mackenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
All right, once again, thank you very much for joining Industrial Talk, and thank you very much for your continued support of a platform that celebrates industry professionals all around the world, because you are bold, brave, you dare greatly, you are changing lives, and you are changing the world. We are broadcasting on site right here, right now, Nashville, Tennessee, Gaylord Hotel. And if you've ever been to a hotel that's large, you haven't been to this one, because this one's absolutely spectacular. And yes, you will get lost. We are broadcasting on site, as said, and we are at Accruent Insights, which is a user conference for Accruent. And it's a buzzy happening out there, people wandering around and solving problems and talking and collaborating and educating. They're doing it all here at Accruent Insights. Now, this is always a treat. They have a grand total of about 350 years of reliability experience. That's Ramesh, and that is Klaus, and they are in the hot seat. Let's get cracking with the conversation. How you guys doing, man?
Doing great. Glad to be here, Scott.
Excellent.
So far.
Till you start asking questions. Hey, by the way,
Yeah.
greetings to Nashville, the music city, kind of my hometown. I live about 40 miles from here.
Just FYI, they have some great speakeasy bars. It's like just these hidden away bars in Nashville. You're going to spend a lot of money for a drink, but it's just the whole, check me out. I'm going through a little door, and it's a special secret place only I know. No, this is great. You guys having a good conference?
Yeah, it's great. And as I said, I'd start this out, since I've known Ramesh for over 30 years, I said the first thing I'm going to say is we got a picture from over 30 years ago that I have on a slide that says we were reliability before reliability was cool.
Cool.
Yeah, now everybody's talking about it.
Do you really have that?
Yeah.
I mean, again, he was one of, that time I was organizing International Maintenance Conference, and that was in Nashville. He was one of our speakers. That time he was doing a service at GM, and we got invited.
Right.
That was the mid-90s, and that was in Nashville. So we know each other from all
That's
years.
when SMRP was starting some of the time, and then I had the global responsibility for manufacturing reliability maintenance for General Motors and so on. I was still in corporate world then.
See, every time I have these conversations with you guys, I recognize that you have seen really from the beginning to just where we are today, and really begin to recognize the amount of change that has happened, which is just always fascinating to me. I just, because you guys have forgotten more than most has ever learned. So that's kudos to you.
Some of it we want to forget.
But come on. I can imagine you have that conversation. Well, that didn't work out real well. Tried, but given the way technology is today, things that were not possible back then are possible today.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I used one example just to be funny. Computer system has changed so much, and just in my lifetime, I started out in college with IBM punch cards, right? Just think about that.
Oh, God.
An IBM punch card where every line of code is typed in, and it just punches out little holes, and you dare not drop the 500 lines of code, because that's 500 cards, and I don't even remember if they had line numbers on them.
I don't know.
Right, what do you do? And then you give it to the magic wizard, like in the Wizard of Oz, because you weren't allowed to touch the computer yet because it was that scary, so you would put it on a shelf, and the wizard would take it, and then, several hours later, your box would come back, and one line of code was wrong. So I had to find out what that was and retype it and give it back to the wizard. And now we're talking about quantum computing and and all that kind of crazy stuff.
And it's fast, right, Ramesh? It's super fast.
Another funny story on this one, same line. I went to University of Buffalo, 1970, took a same computer kind of course. Then I came back here at Ordinary Air Force Base, trying to implement better maintenance and reliability. And one of my tasks was to get a CMMS system, or get a reliability program going. So everybody in the company, there was an IT guy, he wanted me to go to I'm in a mainframe system.
Yeah.
And boy, I said there was a problem going to mainframe because you cannot get anything done. You have to go through IT. And I was looking at computer-based, that time CMMS just came out with a PC-based. So I want to go to PC, IBM, and boy, that was a challenge to getting our IT guys, this manager of IT, to convince that, hey, let me go to PC-based system. He said, no. But I wanted to go, I have to go all the way to my general manager to get a permission to get a PC. We got 2 IBM PC that time to get a PC-based CMMS system in the place. But that was a challenge, how things have changed from mainframe to PC, and now we do everything on the telephone. So yes, technology is going to help.
See, this is what's really interesting, and because you've had such a tremendous career in the world of asset management reliability, and it's brilliant. Don't get me wrong. But you had to, from your professional perspective, constantly look at new innovations. You're constantly seeking and pursuing other areas that allow better management of assets, greater insights, whatever it might be. You're just constantly looking at it. Given what you know today, given your history, where are you seeing it going? I mean, if I had a nickel every time somebody says, "Hey, Scott, it's all about data collection," great, that's fine. But what do you do with it? Klaus, where do you sort of put your future hat on? What are we talking about now?
I think AI is here to stay. Virtual reality is going to get better. Machine learning is getting more practical.
AR,
all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think there's a need for more regulation. I think surveys I've seen, it's kind of 50-50. People are for it and against it. That's going a little bit too fast because they worry about cybersecurity.
Oh, yeah.
Where's my data going? People are out there to make money, not to kind of watch our data. So there's those kind of concerns. But at the same time, it's exciting. We know it can do a lot of things better and faster. Right now it's the chat GPT is in the baby phases. Right now,
isn't that something?
Yeah. I mean, it's learning. We tested it a little bit. It's good at some things, and it's working pretty good. Other things it's not that good at because again, it's a baby, right? Still, it's learning.
Yeah.
Calculations and reliability makes a lot of mistakes. It's not there yet. So you have to know how to use it. But over time, it will get better. We'll get better, just like a person growing up.
Yeah. There are some moral concerns associated with AI. Quite frankly, I use it.
Yeah.
I use it. Are you familiar with Bard?
I've heard of it. No,
yeah.
I'm not familiar with it.
It's similar. It's the same thing. I use Bard. I use ChatGPT. All of that.
So another 10 years, we'll say, is that really you, Scott, or is that your digital twin? Let me reach out.
I'm telling you, they can mimic. There's an ability to accurately mimic the voice of individuals.
Yes.
That just blows me away. But then back to, from a reliability or asset management perspective, and everybody's talking about data and analysis and being able to pull the data off of it and be able to take some, pull the analytics, right? And then be able to make tactical or whatever decisions associated with it. That is an incredible use case, Ramesh, for AI.
That's right. I mean, we need again, this is going back to CMMS system kind of thing. We input the data, but we want information out so we can make better decisions. But many times CMMS system have not done that. I think with the help of AI, we should be able to get the data faster, information out faster, so we can make better decisions, which are very, very important. You were talking earlier about artificial intelligence, or this ChatGPT, all these kind of things. Great technology, we need it to make us do a more efficient and better job. But we have to be cautious. Application of those in the field, we have to be careful how we're going to implement those. We have to make sure our people are ready to use that technology. A few years ago, I was at one conference and we had people all sitting there talking about AI, smart sensors and those kind of things. Yes, we need them, but we have to make sure they are reliable also. There are some issues there.
Secure.
Security. So there are some issue with all technology. So we cannot just say, hey, that's great, let's apply it. Yes, we have to be cautious. We have to prepare our people as well as our systems so it can take care.
But here's the challenge to your point, Ramesh, is that there seems to be a different rate, a speed. Here's technology, and technology is traveling at 100 miles an hour, and here's the adoption of the people that are going to use it, and we're traveling at 40 miles per hour. And so it's just, the gap keeps on getting larger and larger. And Klaus, what I see is that technology is passing up our ability to be able to sort of adopt it.
Yeah, with the incoming data, the practical tools haven't kept up to help us make the right decisions on the plant floor. And then bigger surveys and studies like from the National Skills Coalition, which represents all kinds of industries, say a third of the people that actually have to manage and supervise people that need moderate to complex computer skills don't even have those skills. That's how scary it is. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I see it. I sense it, but it's happening.
Yep.
But then, to your point, Ramesh, what do? How do we sort of levelize that learning and the speed of technology and the adoption to extract the value out of that?
Well, we have to start working with our kids, schools. Think about, hey, we have to start teaching. Think about STEM programs, How many people are going to engineering, science and math and this? And that's the area we have to work on. In fact, our company, we did it locally. We are going to high school, helping them, those guys, hey, just not just a computer, there's some other technology you have to learn. We have to teach them, our kids in the high school and beyond. Even in our engineering college, we have to teach them reliability. We don't teach them. And luckily, UT has done a good job.
Yes.
So that's the kind of thing we have to start teaching people, hey, what we need in the plant area, in the field, what kind of technology, how we can change technology to be more apply this application of that technology in the field easily. Those kind of things.
See, that shifts the conversation over to education, and Klaus is definitely has the street cred there. This is my concern. The concern is, UT has, they're just absolutely wonderful to be able to have you. There is. But do you see that tenured professors in this world, can they keep up with it? Because you are uniquely positioned. It's just laid out there. And because you've been in it, my concern is that traditional education is not nimble enough to be able to deal with some of this.
Yeah, I think more people are starting to get it. It's not as fast as I'd like. Across the U.S. And I'm just talking about UT here. And I think by maybe survival instincts that may even grow for all across. Because as we go forward, colleges are starting to shrink in enrollment. UT's still increasing, so that's a good thing. But if you look at colleges, the number of kids going to school because people are just having less kids, that's going to shrink. So there's going to be more outreach to industry, and there's going to be more outreach to industry, and with the demand and shortages of people are upskilling more and so on. So I think automatically it's going to drive that more, and people are starting to understand, more of the benefits of reliability and maintainability. Even though it's taken a long time. It would have been nice to have that 20 years ago already, but I think it's starting to take hold.
Yeah, but don't you think that there's a timing for everything? And I think that today, in my conversations, the technology is there to be able to sort of really take that next step, that step forward of being able next level, asset management, reliability, focus. And I have to say, just because it's a necessity for survival for many of these companies. I can't find people, so I have to figure out how to optimize the use of my asset. Is that right?
That's right. That's a need. What we teach in our colleges is not what we need at the plant floor. We teach a lot of theory there, which is required, but we don't have a practical application of the technology, how we can use the plant area. Think about how these programmer certifications, CMRP, CRL, all these certifications. How that started? Because we didn't have people with the proper skill set, so we wanted to get people educated and assess their knowledge by these certifications, so that we know that they have qualification, they have proper skill set. That's how all these certifications started. And I think one of the things I did was went to local colleges, as the deans, talk to them, hey, why don't you start a reliability program? So because that's what we need, people do best practices or these kind of things. And they said, yeah, we want to do it, but we cannot add more courses. We cannot add more classes. Luckily, I know Klaus has done a good job over there. He was able to justify getting classes there. But other colleges, they say it costs too much. People don't want to pay that much. So in fact, they are cutting back on the courses.
That's not the right direction.
That's not the right direction.
No, that's not the right
direction. But it costs too much, and that's what they're trying to do is, hey, we cannot add. So they are doing a specialized classes sometime, some courses, and this certification came along to make sure people who are going to the plant area are skilled people, and that's what certifications are.
And then much of the challenge isn't the technology; it's the implementation. And then nobody teaches that. I mean, 70% or more of the failures are implementation focused on getting it out there, and that has nothing to do with the technology.
To your point, I mean, technology is the technology, and I think that it always gets down to the human equation, and that's the implementation of it. Klaus, you're uniquely positioned just because you're teaching at UT. What are some of the future leaders talking about? What gets them excited?
Well, I think a couple of things. I mean, maybe you can talk a bit about the Industry 4.0, 5.0, how that all relates.
5.0.
I know. I know. It's great. People are talking about it. I know.
Buckle in.
All right,
here we go.
All right, 4.5. but Industry 4.0. I mean, that's all the stuff we're talking about today with all the digital, the cloud, the AI, all that, and what it's touting and moving towards. And it's a different vision for everybody. There isn't an exact model, but it's really connectivity, like what this Accruent conference is all about. It's about getting better data to the plant floor and getting better data so people can make decisions. And I wanted to talk about so all that's Industry 4.0, and they call it a revolution. Fourth industrial revolution. Well, heck, it's been going on since before 2010. With pieces of that. But now the Industry 5.0, in kind of the simple version, in my mind, how it differentiates, it looks at being more resilient, like to be able to recover with like what happened with COVID and so on. Are we more resilient? Are we agile? Are we stable, not just lean? And so on. So that's resiliency. The other thing gets more into sustainability. What's the long-term decisions that are correct? And that includes planet-friendly, it includes resources, everything. And the third part of that is being more human-centric. And by that I mean not just giving data to people, but how do you take the data and the knowledge and get it to people so they can use their smarts, their ingenuity, their creativity to make better decisions, not just give them more data, but how does it enhance that? And that kind of follows up with the keynote, from this conference here. How do we work on the ingenuity of the people to make those good decisions? And that's what I mean by human-centric, not just having the people involved.
It must be, it would be enjoyable for me to be able to talk to young professionals who are passionate about the reliability profession, and then be able to see how they look at it. They see it. Sometimes I find that me, older, I get in sort of a trench and I only think of it a certain way until somebody says, hey, Scott, what about this? That's the excitement. That's what you and you as well, Ramesh, just deal with on it. Has anybody really sort of talked about the implementation of like a augmented reality type of solution from a reliability perspective? We talked about virtual, got it. Of course, they're bantering digital twin, but what about sort of that augmented type of solution?
Well, I'm glad you talked about this thing, because recently when I teach my classes at University of Wisconsin, Tennessee, Mississippi State, I see a lot of my students are young students they are coming in, which is a really great thing, and which trend has started coming. And those kids are much faster in learning new technology, okay? And they pick up so quick and unbelievable, So I think good things are going to happen because young kids are started coming to maintenance reliability field, and they are excited and they can do, in fact, what we did, we selected a couple of young kids, and gave them in predictive technology in area. Boy, they're really blooming up over there. They're doing a great job. So yes, the new technology, augmented reality, all these things are coming and it's going to take place. But again, we have to be cautious. We have to get our people prepared for this new technology.
Yeah, it always fascinates me when it's like, why do I have to do it that way? Yeah. Why? Why can't I just do it I can do it on my phone.
Yeah.
It's right there. Why? And that to me it's a great question. Why?
Yeah, maybe a good follow-up example is in one of our companies that we work with, they do virtual reality to learn welding. You say, well, how can you learn welding virtual reality? And then they still do the hands-on, but a much less percentage, so they can train in about half the time and it's just as good. So that's a benefit.
So I digress. Here I digress. Oak Ridge, Tennessee, they have a virtual reality training simulator for first responders. So the same thing. It's not decks and decks and decks and decks of slides. It's actually being able to be in the environment that they are familiar with, learn, and the learning and the retention is so much greater. It's like, when you're hearing people talk about it, and it's just, again, to your point, Klaus, we're just at the tip of it.
And as Ramesh said, the students are great because I think the technologies are also bringing more younger people to reliability and maintainability. So that's a good connect. And what we do with we have a training center. We have a pseudo factory at the university that we put together. And what we do is we use senior design project students to do all the continuous improvement. So we always get 10, 15 students, and the last 2 semesters they stay with us, and half is design, half is implementation of what we need to get done. And so again, they're going to industry, learning technologies, knowing that. And I'm a big supporter of internships. We put interns in half the United States, and I think everybody should be doing that at every university.
Well, technology is great. We need it. However, I want to insist, you have to prepare people. Yeah. You have to have a right culture. The implementation is a key thing. Implementation, as Klaus said earlier, we know 60-70% projects fail because we don't have a right culture. Yeah. The culture is important.
That's an awful stat, by the way. Just FYI, that would frustrate the heck out of me. Right? Good thing I don't do it. Ramesh, how do people get a hold of you? You buzz around. You're buzzy. How do people get a hold of you? Do you get on? I don't know how to get a hold of you.
Ramesh.Gulati at reliabilityx.com or
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. I'm LinkedIn also.
You don't shadow ban me, do you?
Yeah, no, I don't do that much. I'm a low-tech guy, but still I get on once or twice a week on LinkedIn. I'll try to.
Whatever. Klaus, how do they get a hold of you?
Easy. I'm on LinkedIn or KBLACHE, first initial last name, at utk.edu.
All right, we're going to have all the contact information for these 2 gents. Yes, it is a must reach out. If you are in the reliability world, if you're in the asset management world, if you're into any of that, if you're interested in just learning, you got to reach out to these 2 gents. A must connect. All right, we are once again broadcasting from Accruent Insights here in Nashville, Tennessee. Yeah, put this on your calendar for next year. Must attend. All right, we're going to wrap it up on the other side. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
Without a doubt, your call to action is clear. It is crystal clear. You need to reach out to both Ramesh and Klaus, because if you're in the world of asset management, reliability, and you need to talk to a couple of individuals, pros in that field, those two are at the top of the list. So don't hesitate. All the contact information will be out in Industrial Talk. So no excuses. Reach out to them. And they're published. They've forgot more in that conversation than I'll ever, learn. They are absolutely spectacular. We go back many years anyway, by the way. They're great individuals. All right, we were broadcasting on site. That was Accruent Insights. And that was a must-attend event. Put that on your calendar. Wonderful energy. Wonderful stuff happening there. Be bold, be brave, dare greatly. Hang out with those two. You will be changing the world. We're going to have another great conversation shortly from the event, so stay tuned.